This week on Arizona Illustrated, what it's like to skate with the Saddletramps.
It's my family. Derby is my family. We are a great team, a great group of girls.
The canyons, wildlife, and geologic wonders of Chiricahua National Monument.
Chiricahua National Monument is one of the top-rated places to see in Arizona.
4 generations of jewelers, the Pathania family.
When I was very small, I spent a lot of time in the shop watching my dad work.
And a foul smell brings out the neighbors in 1995.
The smell now is a very wretched, worse than sewer gas.
Welcome to Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. What local sports team is all-female, internationally ranked, and has only been in existence for about 12 years? The Saddletramps, of course.
Not my cat following me. I know. You guys should coming. It's coming. We were all frozen.
In freshman year in college, league was starting in Flagstaff, and I was like, I'm gonna love this. I didn't even know how to skate, but I spent a whole paycheck on gear and went and started skating with them on the ground floor. None of us knew how to skate.
I feel like the first few times I had no idea what was happening. I was like, I don't know how the points are scored. All I know is this is really awesome.
Saddletramps are the team that represents Tucson in international play. We are a ranked team in women's flat track roller derby. My name is Downtown Dave. In the derby world, that's what people call me. We've been working really hard. We work in this venue, we practice here every Sunday, and this is like home for us.
We practice because we need that muscle memory. You know, work on these things over and over and over, even when your body's like, oh man, you know, I'd really like to sleep in. And you're like, nope, I'm gonna go there because my team's there and I wanna be with my team. I wanna get better.
They're gonna play offense, but from the back. And then you guys are gonna come play offense.
All right, get set up.
Every practice knits you tighter and tighter, and we have pretty much no holds barred. You can't have a less than close relationship with somebody that you touch in all kinds of manners, and you know, that in and of itself, I think, breaks down a lot of the barriers.
I love it. Derby's changed my life. It's amazing. My derby name is the Blaxican Bomber. It took me forever to pick a derby name. It was harder than learning how to skate. I'm half black and half Mexican, and my sister and I have always called ourselves Blaxicans. And then Bomber was just, I wanted something with a B.
Go!
It's my family. Derby is my family. We are a great team, a great group of girls that work hard, work to better each other. We play hard. I need you right there. We practice hard. Hopefully we go to playoffs.
I'll try to have a little bit of a break. Crossing over the system is
Whenever I tell anyone I play roller derby, they're like, oh, elbows and punching, and they're used to that 70s roller derby.
Kitty right back at her.
So I have to tell them, no, okay, it's a little different than that. We have rules now. If I punch someone, I'm getting ejected.
There's 2 packs, whistle goes, jammers take off. First jammer through, legally, gets lead jammer. Every subsequent pass, you get a point for every person on the other team that you pass. So you have the potential to get 5 points per lap every time you go around. The jammers, we're the ones that have stars on our helmets, and we're the ones that score points. My derby name, my skate name is Pixie Axe. So we've got Metal Maiden, Shanna Banana Hammock. The announcers really like to play on that one.
Shanna Banana Hammock now out of the penalty box.
Pinky McLovin, Blackskin Bomber, Mystery Meat, that's a great one. It's fun, and then it's also like hard. You're like, this is what people are gonna call me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, me!
I'm one of our bums, which means that in a pack of 4, I'm in the back, and the jammer's usually on me. I'm trying to stay low, move my feet, give them my flank for them to push against, and just really trying to stop any of their momentum.
2 minutes, which means, oh, a big hit knocked out of bounds.
My skate name is Jasmanian Devil. I like to think of it as controlling the chaos of derby and life in general. And I also like to spin. People talk a lot about my booty blocking, so I think that would be my skill, just getting my butt out there and keeping people's way. So. Sometimes there's moments where everything just kind of clicks. We have constant communication between our bracers in the front, our bums in the back, you know, inside, outside, middle, stay low, drop, hit first.
I think only me and you think.
And everybody knows what needs to be done, but in any given moment you have to decide who's gonna do it so your whole wall doesn't fall apart.
To somebody who doesn't know anything about it, it's full contact, 5 skaters on each side, basically racing. But there's so much more to it than that. I mean, that's just scratching the surface.
My favorite description I've ever heard is it's like playing chess while somebody throws bricks at you. When you first start playing, it's like static in your head, like zoom, zoom, zoom.
You're thinking about everyone on your team, you're thinking about the other team, you're thinking about what you should be doing, and you're on skates, and you're getting hit. My name is Steph Crew. I'm usually a jammer, sometimes I block. Since I was so small, I thought I had to hit harder, and so I would really try to get aggressive. But now, I know I can't hit hard to the girls who are bigger, and so I just accept it, and I find ways around it.
I mean, I've sprained ankles, my shoulder popped out. Like, part of it too is also being hit and taking that hit and staying up and saying like, yeah, I got this.
I tore my PCL 2 years ago. It can be quite dangerous. Knee injuries, ankle injuries, concussions, broken ribs. We have a fresh meat girl who's broken her arm twice in the last year and has never passed her test.
Since I'm shorter, I usually get hit in the face a lot. And I've had 2 concussions, and so it's scary to put my face out there, because if I get one more concussion, I probably will have to stop playing.
People break themselves all over the place and they come back to derby because they love it and they love their teammates. So every time the fresh meat girls come in, you can kind of pick out who's gonna make it and who's not by how they respond to their first big hit.
You get used to all this really close physical contact. Body parts in your face, you get wrist guards in your mouth, and you're breathing on 8 other people at the same time, and it's all this sweat mixed up, and it's gross and awesome at the same time.
There's a ton of rules and gear that is meant to protect against the danger, but if you make a legal hit to a legal target zone and you rock somebody's world, it's still legal. So it can be dangerous regardless.
The physical nature of it, I think they get tough in a way that's, as a male, I don't know if I can really understand it. Like, they do it in this community way where they build each other up.
293 for your Tucson roller derby,
Saddletramps!
Everybody here is your friend, but there's a special bond that you get with your teammates that you go in and you take those hits together, you protect your jammer together. I really think there is a sense of going into battle together.
It's a hobby, it's a sport, right? But it's so much more than that. There's so many people that have come into Derby in kind of these weird moments in their lives, and you know, they're looking for something, like maybe they don't even know what they're looking for, but they come to Derby and they find it here, and it's a very empowering thing.
Something about Derby feels like home to a lot of people. A lot of people say Derby saved my soul, and I think having that experience of like this is my safe place. This is where I come to release my day and the stress of my life, and to just be with my friends and have fun and work hard. It's a very tight, supportive community for sure. I don't know any other way to describe it but family.
The Saddletramps will compete in this year's Women's Flat Track Derby Association Division II playoffs in August. For more, visit their website at TucsonRollerDerby.com. 2 hours east of Tucson is a wondrous place of balanced rock and pinnacles, a place that offers some of the state's best hiking and camping, wildlife viewing, and stargazing, and a place that some people believe should be America's next national park, Chiricahua National Monument.
Chiricahua National Monument was first established by President Coolidge in 1924, primarily for the protection of our pinnacle rock formations. The pinnacle rock formations are the result of volcanic explosions that occurred over 27 million years ago, some of the largest volcanic activity in the American Southwest. And of course, over millennia, it has eroded to form just a beautiful array of pinnacles, spires, and unique balanced rocks.
The Apache called the Chiricahua Mountains the land of standing rocks, because you literally see the rocks that are out there that are standing.
Just beautiful. A variety of shapes and sizes.
You can use your imagination and come up with dogs' heads and people's heads and balanced rocks, and anything you want to imagine you can probably see up there. They truly are, and geologically they're very interesting too.
The Echo Canyon Trail is the perfect introduction for a hike at Chiricahua National Monument. Half a mile down the trail, you'll be at an incredible feature called the Grottos, which is a fun place to climb and explore. The grotto is, you could call it a cave-type feature, but it's once again caused by water erosion. And if you look up above you, there's a big boulder suspended right above your head.
I've been here many times, and I brought the Boy Scouts up many times as being a scoutmaster. And we've walked all the trails and camped in the campgrounds, and it's a beautiful area for people to visit.
We're on our 50th anniversary trip, and this is one of our stops to visit our relatives, so we've enjoyed it very much.
Had you heard about this place before you came here today?
No, no, not, the cousin. So you've got to go see it, so. And he hasn't steered us wrong yet.
So one of the dramatic landmarks you can see from Chiricahua National Monument is Cochise Head, which is actually in the Coronado National Forest. And look for the profile of a person laying on their back with their nose pointed up in the air, and that's how you know you're actually looking at this mountain that was named in honor of the famous Chiricahua Apache chief Cochise.
His name is synonymous with southeastern Arizona. After all, Cochise County is named after him in southeastern Arizona. And Coach East's time of leading the Apache was back in the 1860s and early 1870s.
After he died of natural causes in 1874, his son Naichi took over as leader, and Naichi and Geronimo were the folks in charge of the Chiricahua Apaches until their final surrender in 1886. Besides the very unique geology, we are at a crossroads for 4 very different ecosystems. From the Rocky Mountains to the north, to the Sierra Madre Mountains of Mexico from the south, and also touches of both the Sonoran Desert by Tucson and the Chihuahuan Desert to the southeast. So as you hike the trails, look for trees like the Apache pine mixed with the agaves and the yuccas, and cactus like the prickly pear cactus or cholla cactus too.
We have a wide variety of flora and fauna, over 1,200 species.
We saw a black bear. I don't know if you heard about that. Everything is great. Hikes, birds, animals.
Not only are the Arizona white-tailed deer common, but you might be lucky to see one of the wild turkeys that have been reintroduced into this mountain range in about 2006. Really fun thing about the wild turkeys is that when you look at the origin of the name Chiricahua, it goes back to the Opata or Opata people who were here before the Chiricahua Apaches. And their word to describe this mountain range, according to one translation, means place of the wild turkey.
I was a teacher for many years in this area, and I'd bring my classes up. And we usually took the mile trail down to the faraway ranch and went through the faraway ranch. And the kids just loved it and learned a lot.
Faraway Ranch was the original homestead for Neil and Emma Eriksson, immigrants from Sweden. So this is a classic pioneer tale. Neil and Emma settled here in the late 1800s after the Chiricahua Apaches had surrendered for the final time and transformed a one-room log cabin into the 2-story house that we see today. We do give guided tours of the home because it's still completely furnished with the family items ranging from the 1870s to the 1970s. You'll have a chance to go back in time. You might look for things such as this milk separator, which after they milk the cows, you use that machine to separate the milk from the cream and then turn it into butter or even use the homemade ice cream maker. The original kitchen table still has the storage bins for Emma's 25-pound bags of flour and sugar. However, we no longer have the original wood-burning stove because by the 1940s, the family was ready to upgrade to the gas stove with its 6 burners and 2 ovens. The Civilian Conservation Corps, or CCC, was one of President Roosevelt's first government work programs during the days of the Great Depression. And after the monument was designated in 1924, the first thing the National Park Service did was bring in the CCC to make those needed staff and visitor facilities. They were the folks who built the hiking trails, for example. They even built most of the structures that we use today, the campground, and here the original visitor center and headquarters area. Chiricahua National Monument would not be what it is today with all the many projects they were able to accomplish in that 6-year span of time.
People know more about the Grand Canyon and some of the other parks and monuments in Arizona, but Chiricahua National Monument is one of the top-rated places to must-see in Arizona.
In our busy world today, it's hard to find somewhere you can go and experience complete solitude, peacefulness, silence. Here at Chiricahua, it's often you have the entire hiking trail to yourself.
If you've been in Tucson long enough, you might remember the old Thunderbird Pathania shop on Congress Street next to the Fox Theater. While the shop closed years ago, the family is still molding metal into art as it has for generations.
I don't have anything else to do. I don't know anything else, so this has to work for me, and I've invested my whole life in this, so I'm here to the end.
In a medium-sized studio in Midtown Tucson, Sam Pathania makes fine jewelry of his own design. It is meticulous work.
I started working the day after I graduated from high school. What I really fell in love with was doing a good job, being a good craftsman.
They asked me to come to Dallas to help them choose what design.
Sam grew up admiring his father, Frank Pathania Jr., who also designed and crafted jewelry.
My dad is an extremely hardworking man. So there I am, like 18 years old, and watching my dad's ability to really work hard for hours on end.
A lot of people commented on my work about how beautifully it was finished. That was all a result of spending hours of shaping and filing and emerying and polishing.
Frank Jr.'s modernist designs were recognized nationally. Like his son Sam, he had a lifelong dedication to the craft.
I developed all the skills first, and then I started designing, and I was able to execute what came out of my brain. Yeah, I grew up in Santa Fe with all kinds of interesting people coming into our shop.
That was the Thunderbird shop, opened in Santa Fe, New Mexico in 1927 by Frank Pathania Sr.
When I was very small, I spent a lot of time in the shop watching my dad basically work. So I just grew up learning the business from the ground up. He had me sweeping the floor.
Frank Sr. started apprenticing as a goldsmith at age 6 in Sicily and continued when his family immigrated to the United States. In 1924, he developed tuberculosis and was sent to Santa Fe not knowing if he would survive. He did, and in 1930, he married Aurora Misocco, also an Italian immigrant. She ended up in Santa Fe an orphan after her mother died on a train ride to California.
Both parents experienced horrible things in their past and didn't talk about it. He was so excited and happy to be an American citizen. He said, "This is a wonderful country. I don't mind paying my taxes. You can do whatever you want in this country." When he came out west, he saw what the Indian jewelry was like, especially the Navajo. He liked the use of bold silver with larger stones. That inspired a whole new direction for him. He sort of created a new style.
The shop was successful and the Pathania brand grew. In 1937, Frank Sr. looked to expand.
They were going to explore possibilities in California. They stopped in Tucson and they decided this is the place.
They opened up a second Thunderbird shop on Congress right next to the Fox Theater.
The Pathanias have always been a presence in Tucson. I love their designs. I think they're really unusual and, again, excellent, top quality craftsmanship. Just really beautiful, nice to wear, comfortable. I curated an exhibition for the Tucson Museum of Art that focused on all three generations, Frank Sr., Frank Jr., and Sam, and highlighted the specific differences between their work because each generation has come up with their own expression in silver.
The multi-generational show garnered the attention of one of the most prestigious museums in the United States.
The Renwick Gallery at Smithsonian Museum ended up buying a piece from each of the three generations, Frank Sr., Frank Jr., and Sam, and they're in their permanent collection now.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. Well, where do you go from the Smithsonian? I don't know. I thought that assured me of a career, of an income, and that just was not the case. Artists have to evolve to be interesting.
It is a business that depends on what's going on in the world. If things are hard, luxury items are one of the first things that sort of fall by the wayside.
The family business has seen many ebbs and flows in its 89-year history, but still it continues.
I think that's pretty unusual anymore, that a family from generation to generation will continue in the same vein.
And I was in the shop ever since I could be. Had to have been like 6 or 7.
I think it's wonderful. I love this. I want to share it with him.
Recently, Sam's son Marco Pathania has started working at the shop.
We used to have very different schools of thought or mental processes, but now we get along really, really well.
When he first started, I called my dad and apologized because now I knew what it was like to have, you know, your son working for you. It's not easy.
I don't even know what. I'm really grateful for the relationship that I have with my father. I don't know a lot of people that have a strong connection like that.
You know, I got to know him at a level that you know, there's just a rare opportunity in my life to get to know my dad and my grandfather like that, to actually do the work that they did.
I think my dad would really, above all, be pleased to see that it's continuing.
But I wouldn't trade it for anything. There's just nothing I love this. Sometimes I stand up and say, I'm never gonna make jewelry ever again because I'm burned out. And the next day I come back and I'm just in love with it again.
In 1995, several residents of a Tucson neighborhood gathered together to call attention to the origin of a consistent and foul smell. They wanted something done. The only problem was the source of the odor was a business that had been there far longer than any of them, Tucson Tallow.
Tucson Tallow is a rendering plant. The operations manager, Balvino Hurtado, says that rendering is an invisible industry.
We are the original recyclers, as we like to call ourselves, be it that this industry was born before the Roman Empire.
What Tucson Tallow recycles is the fat, bones, and trimmings from meat picked up at supermarkets, restaurants, and packing houses.
This place got started in 1938, primarily to serve a packing house that used to sit right in back of us here.
That packing house is long since gone. Tucson Tallow has been swallowed up by the city of Tucson over the years and is now surrounded by mobile home parks. Some residents are angry about the odors they say the rendering plant emits.
It stinks when they cook, and they're supposed to have all this stuff they've added, but they're not doing their job. They're not keeping the equipment clean. The equipment's outdated.
The smell now is a very wretched, worse than sewer gas.
The residents often direct their anger at David Esposito and the county's Department of Environmental Quality, which he heads.
What I can tell you is that we're doing everything in our power legally to improve the emissions at the plant.
But Supervisor Ed Moore says it's not enough.
They're just making excuses. They've spent a lot of time, a bunch of bureaucrats who have accomplished nothing.
The Pima County supervisors have asked the county attorney's office to prepare a lawsuit against Tucson Tallow, and they've directed the county administrator to ask Mayor Miller and the city council to join the county in that lawsuit or to help find a way to relocate the plant.
That is being looked at right now by certain people within the county and our attorney, and that is being considered.
In the meantime, the residents will continue to complain, and Tucson Tallow will continue to operate.
Thank you for joining us here on Arizona Illustrated. Next week, an important milestone in the countdown to the launch of OSIRIS-REx, an ancient watering practice renewed, on the field with the Lax Cats, and Kenny Scharf transforms cars into art. I'm Tom McNamara. See you next week.